Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this career talk and admissions briefing for the Master of Social Sciences in Sustainability, Leadership and Governance. I think we will start with a self-introduction. I will introduce myself. I'm Vivian and Dr. Winnie Law. We're both program co-directors of this master program, and we have with us 3 alumni. So I'll give you a little bit more background about myself, and then I can invite alumni to introduce themselves. Right, so my work is more in policy governance as well as sustainability. And some recent research I've done is about facilitated leadership for co-creation in green solutions. Also, I have some new publications in technological innovation and policy tools for sustainable consumption. So I will pass over maybe Season, and then Udara and Ruoqi can tell us a little bit about what you do, your current role, so our participants can know a bit more of your background. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Season. I'm currently working at Goldman Sachs as Executive Director in Corporate Communications. So essentially media relations, external relations, and a bit of government policy related stuff. So everything external facing. And I studied this master degree in a part-time manner, and I graduated in 2022 or 2023, I forgot. But yeah, my work is closely related to talking to the journalists, explaining to what the bank is doing, new initiatives, pitching different stories or sometimes crisis management on different issues. So to equip myself with different knowledge, including the sustainability related knowledge, because as you know, all the banks has their own sustainability initiatives and reports are very important. And that is why I studied this master. And I'll share more later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. First and foremost, I would like to thank the faculty, Vivian and Winnie, for the opportunity to join the panel. It's my pleasure to be here today. Hi, everyone. My name is Udara. I'm currently working as the Senior Manager of Sustainability for PVH Asia Pacific, where I help drive sustainability to 2 iconic fashion brands, which everyone would be very familiar with, Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger in the Asia Pacific region. Prior to joining PVH, I've held various strategic roles for a local property developer as well as several other affiliated organizations. Academically, I graduated together with Ruoqi about a week ago from the Master of Social Sciences in Sustainability, Leadership and Governance at Hong Kong U. Prior to that, I also did my undergraduate studies at Hong Kong U, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Economics and Finance and a minor in Geography. That's about me, and I look forward to sharing more about my journey throughout this session. With that, I would like to pass it to Ruoqi.
Thank you, Udar, and thanks for the faculty. And it's a great pleasure to join everyone with the discussion today. My name is Ruoqi. So I am working in Budweiser APAC, which is a subsidiary company of AB InBev. Many of you may not know the name, but it's actually the world's largest beer company and home to global brands like Budweiser, Corona, and local champions that you might see in Asia, such as Harbin and Corona and Class. So I work in Bud APAC as an associate director in the legal and corporate affairs team. So I've been in the field of communications, and my previous work experiences covers both agency and the public sector, where I worked with the UN agency. So my current work focusing on project management, and that includes help the company to navigate external environment, manage relationship with key stakeholders, and also our company's reputation. Which sustainability remains relevant for many aspects. And I look forward to having chat with you and to discuss the journey of the sustainability. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your introduction. So our audience can hear right away the diversity of their work as well as their background. We thought we can start off with the first question being a point that we try to make in this program time and time again about how really sustainability can be a complementary skill set and knowledge set to any kind of disciplines. So that's why we don't, require students to come from a specific background or a specific bachelor's or even specific job. And so the first question then to you all is, how do you feel that the program has really enhanced or complemented your previous knowledge and experience? So we can start with Udara and then Ruoqi and Season.
Thank you very much, Raven. That's a really great question, and definitely a question that I had in mind when I was attending a similar briefing, I think 2 years ago. So just a little bit of myself, as I mentioned earlier, I come from like a finance / like strategy background. Therefore, I was quite familiar with like ideating and operationalizing like business initiatives. But I felt that I had a lack of familiarity when it comes to sustainability. And as Ruoqi alluded to earlier, like sustainability is becoming very relevant. It's getting more and more relevant, I would say, for businesses. And I think that's a skill set and a set of knowledge that will be very essential, regardless of whether you're doing a full-time sustainability role. So this program really helped me to build like fluency amongst these key sustainability concepts, like, for example, decarbonization pathways, governance frameworks, etc. Like an example that comes to mind was that when we are in the business world, we constantly hear a lot of sustainability buzzwords like GRI, SASB, and so on, and like different frameworks and so on. So I kind of had a rough idea of what these programs do, reporting frameworks do, but I wasn't like completely sure about their differences and the nuances between them. So I remember taking the transparency, accounting, and disclosure course where I was really able to build a solid knowledge about these frameworks and understand the complexities behind them. So this is just a good example of like how it gave me a taste into the sustainability concepts, which helps me dig deeper and provides me the necessary tools to learn more about these things that could be very relevant for any field of business.
Thank you, Dara. So I do echo a lot of what you said, especially about how it can be provide you a broad range of knowledge and allows you to dive deeper into different aspects. As Vivian also mentioned, that at our courses like has people from so many different and diverse background, as because sustainability is such a broad topic and involves many aspects and need to consider when it comes to stakeholders and what are the different process along the business value chain. So the course actually provides us with like what are the checkpoints, or even like how we can look into the different aspects such as value chain. For us, for me, it's especially relevant because for working in a company like us where we have a really long value chain, where we started from working with farmers to get the barley seeds from, and then to finish the final product to deliver beers to the consumers. It's important for us to really look into what are the specific impacts related to sustainability in every steps of the value chain. So similarly, when it comes to the policy, how we can deliver public policy related works. So I think what the courses has to offer can be relevant to many people and who are working regardless of what industry you are in, because that is like such a broad topic. And aside from knowledge, I think the applicable skills we got enhanced through the program is that how you can work with people from such a diverse background. And within the company, it can be applied to like you're working with different functions and how you can work together to develop the solutions and contribute with your own expertise. Or in this program's case, complete the projects together.
Thank you, Ruoqi. I think different people have different expectation when they try to enroll in a master degree program. A lot of people might be curious, for someone who work in an investment bank, why would I study a sustainability focused master degree? Actually, before joining Goldman Sachs, when I was applying for this master degree, I was with UBS, so one of the biggest Swiss wealth manager in the world. And back then, there were a lot of talks about sustainable investment, sustainable portfolio. That's what brought to my attention. And at the same time, there are a lot of press inquiries around what is greenwashing, what is real green, what is not, and what's the philanthropy related stuff related to responsible investment. So I just wanted to get to wrap my head around it, around this topic. And at the same time, I remember in the interview, I said I want to at least know how to differentiate what is greenwashing, right? And this kind of things are not something that you can know just by reading the newspaper because if you know what is greenwashing, you know it can be in a lot of different aspects. And this program is perfect because it really broadened my horizons and perspective. It covers a lot of really diverse things, including the really static like framework, code of ethics related stuff, as well as some about sustainable cities and design. And I think the diversity of the topic actually enable me to look at things with a different lens and makes me also realize, for example, this year when there were a lot of talks about trade war and because of this master degree and the courses that I've took, I understand how complicated a supply chain could be. So I think it is hard to articulate how exactly this degree helped me, but I think to provide me with a diversity and the perspective to look at things differently, it is a very interesting and important skill set. And you slowly realize that actually everything is somehow related to sustainability.
Wow, thank you for that. I think you all mentioned like different kinds of knowledge frameworks, skills that you've learned, and then season about the critical thinking and the judgment, and then all the diversity of topics and content in the program as well. So something that we feel is quite unique to the program is also not just the diverse content, but also in terms of the learning experience. So maybe we can move on to that and see, what are there particular aspects of the learning experience of the program that, you particularly enjoyed and why that is. So maybe Ruoqi can start first.
Sure. So as Season and was mentioning about the diversity of a topic, for sure, that is one thing I found that's really helpful because when coming into a program, it's kind of like open up a door about sustainability where you can tap into so many different themes that you find that allows you to explore and the areas that with the framework and the tools you can use to continue dive into the topic if you feel like that is something you want to learn more about, such as the value chain, or even understanding more about the concept of what is the greenhouse gas impact calculation. So, and dive into more technical aspects, or into about the topics such as like the technical digital governance. So for me, on top of the courses that was offered with such a diverse choices, one thing I found is very helpful is that the courses, many of them actually bring in guest speakers who are like really experienced practitioners from the field, and then they bring into the real life cases and also like the experiences that are really helpful to bringing what is the most relevant topics and discussions happening in the industry. So I found that's quite valuable.
So for me, one of the most interesting thing is working in finance. I think a lot of people that I work with in banks are somewhat similar, or at least at work, we share the same background and we look at things similarly with the same lens. But at this program, every classmates I had are of really, really diverse background. And as both Udara and Ruoqi mentioned, this is this course is very diverse, and people who take this master degree are also very diverse. And if you join this program, you'll realize that there are actually a lot of opportunities for group work. I think, at least for me, after doing my bachelor degree, it's been a long while since I really do group work so closely with people of such a different background, right? And I remember I had classmates who are working in like green organizations, some are working in SPCA, some are working in banks, and everyone is doing very different things. And I think from doing these group projects with them, it's really thought-provoking, because I think all of us, if we've been working in the same industry for too long, there are a lot of things that we thought work that way. But in fact, there can be a lot of different perspectives to the same thing. And in a lot of courses, the group presentations, you can choose, of course, like the area that you would like to focus on the most. And for me, I did go for topics that I'm not as familiar with. So I think that really opened up my world and enabled me to learn from my group mates a lot. So apart from learning from the professors and the guest speaker, like Ruoqi mentioned, I actually learned a lot from my classmates, and still I like keep in touch with them. And a lot of them do still work in sustainability or started working in sustainability after graduation. But there are also a lot of them like me, equip ourselves with sustainability related knowledge and bring it back to our workplace. So that can be a very diverse outcome of this master degree. And I think the classmates and the diverse class background of them really complements this whole experience.
Yeah, I totally agree with your Susan and Ruoqi that the group work and the interactions were one of the key parts of the learning experience that are quite enjoyed. There's a lot of things that I learned from those group discussions that you can't really learn from like reading a textbook or so on, or like listening to a podcast. So I really enjoyed that. But another aspect that I quite enjoyed about this program there was that it has a good balance of technical as well as like academic aspects. So of course the technical aspects are the ones that we can directly apply to our jobs and day-to-day work, but the academic aspects, like the academic approaches that that the faculty used, was really encouraged us to think critically and to question the status quo. So I really enjoyed that that we had to challenge the thoughts of like the ways things are done to identify innovative solutions to sustainability challenges. And I think this was super helpful for us, even when we go back to work, because we always encounter challenges, both at work and in personal life. And having that challenging of thought really helps us come up with better solutions for it. And I also think this was also like a difference and a benefit of actually doing a master's level program at an establishment like Hong Kong U versus like the many certificate programs that you can also find outside, because you have 2 years to really get together with a group of people and really like work through the efforts to like learn more and to understand sustainability better.
Thank you so much for all your sharing just now. Maybe I'll just jump in right now and let everybody know that the schedule for tonight is that for this first hour, we'll have the career talk. And then, so after their sharing and all my questions, then will be your chance to ask our alumni questions. And then we'll have a program briefing. So I will talk a bit about what the program offers, and then you can ask your questions about the program itself. So if you have questions about program admissions or things like that, you can hold that until later on this evening. If you have questions for our alumni, then you can start jotting them down here, and then later on in about half an hour or 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, then we will start taking your questions and then letting our alumni answer them. Okay, right, thank you. So going back to all your points, everything has come together about the different kinds of learning experience. Ruoqi mentioned all the guest speakers, industry experience. That, of course, is something that you get to engage with more in the capstone right? The more of a hands-on experience, more opportunities to speak to different industry actors, etc. And then, of course, Season, when you mentioned the working with different classmates and then all the group work, the capstone is really, right, the longest time, and they're much more intense type of group work, so how that went. And then Udara, and you mentioned all the academic concepts and then all the challenges you handle. I would say also the capstone is something that is a journey where you really have a lot of challenges along the way, and then you just tackle them one by one and then have your final product. So let's move on now to asking you to share about your capstone topic and then your learning journey in that. So maybe Season can start first.
Sure. I think same as a lot of SLGP graduates, the capstone is a very interesting and important part of our master degree because it's, I think, quite a lot of credits with this course, and at the same time, you get to work with your group mates in a very long period of time. You spend a lot of time with them deciding on the topics and grinding through the whole capstone project. And for my capstone project, it's a finance related. My group mates, two of them are also with a finance background, and one of them it's like worked at Apple. So it's a very interesting combination. Our topic was actually about biodiversity. So we studied the status of corporate biodiversity disclosure for Hong Kong listed company. So it's about the regulatory requirement of Hong Kong listed companies, and we look through the sustainability report on a sample of a large sample of Hong Kong listed companies and look at which area did they address around biodiversity and how much did they dedicate to biodiversity. And we figured that most of the companies only just started the disclosure in biodiversity, and a lot of disclosures are very vague and lack specificity and with limited or like no evidence, no qualification to support the statements that they talk about. Even though some very, very big listed blue chip companies in Hong Kong, they have really limited area that covers about diversity. And during this capstone, apart from looking through the sustainability report of many listed companies, we also got the opportunity to interview the head of sustainability or sustainability reporting managers of these listed companies. I think with the HKU SLGP master degree background, a lot of them are actually happy to talk to us, of course, on background and a non-attributed coded basis. And the experience interviewing them, talking to them about the difficulties working in a large corporate and incorporating or pushing the agenda of biodiversity, it's very interesting. And so looking through the reports, it may be just some black and white documents, but talking to the people, interviewing them and listen to their difficulties or challenges in the day-to-day work, it is very important and very interesting. And I think at the same time, it's very interesting to see that a lot of them were very interested to read our report after it's published, because they also like to know how's the company doing versus their other big companies listed in Hong Kong. So I think the topic that we chose is quite timely, and at the same time, biodiversity is something that Hong Kong hasn't really started discussing. We chose this topic also because there are a lot of companies listed in Hong Kong that are probably based in China. There are a lot of Chinese companies listed in Hong Kong. So I think looking at biodiversity, we are of course not as updated or not doing as well as the European or American counterparts. That's why I think the topic that we chose, we also want to push a bit of the agenda to let the companies know that there are actually people who are looking at this field of biodiversity. And I think this whole experience of looking through the reports as well as interviewing and talking to the people that are actually doing the work is very rewarding. And I'm very glad that I think all of us were very happy with the result and the findings that we got. I think the whole experience really apart from doing a very long-term group work, I think it also broadened my horizons in terms of building more relationship within the industry and to meet those sustainability manager of different companies. So it's a kind of one capstone project actually gave me a basket of a lot of different takeaways.
Cool. Thank you, Susan. So for us, what the capstone topic we were working on was a little bit different from the corporate aspect. We were looking to understand the challenge of restaurants in Hong Kong to adopt the reusable containers when they provide like the takeout services. So the reason why we picked the topic is at the time when we were starting working on a capstone project, the Hong Kong government issued a new policy to ban on all the disposable utensils. And the ban is going to be implemented in two phases. One is on all the utensils. The other one, the second phase, is that they plan to ban all the usage of plastic containers. That policy was supposed to happen at the end of this year, but according to the latest update, it has been postponed. So when we were looking at this policy, we were thinking about why the government did not focusing on encouraging people to use the reusable ones. And as we saw, there were rental services available. Because for us, we think that might be a more sustainable solution instead of just using the disposable but non-plastic ones. So the group of 4, we interviewed many small and independent restaurant owners and managers in Hong Kong to identify what are the challenges they face or they think prevent them from adopting the reusable containers. So it has been a quite interesting journey because none of us actually are in the restaurant industry in Hong Kong. And it's actually a journey that allows us to understand more what about the real life challenges facing by the Hong Kong dining industry, especially from the small business owners. And it's a chance to get a real sense of what is the day-to-day operating life in the kitchen. For example, the challenges we were able to discover, which is also relevant and also as a reality in Hong Kong, is with the space constraint, and also the life in Hong Kong is kind of fast-paced. Whereas we also at the same time explore what are the potential opportunities if we're going to be able to support the implementation or the improvements being applied. At that time, when we start working on the capstone project, for me, it's also a very interesting journey because I was really new to Hong Kong. So this research process also allowed me to explore and open doors to many new small restaurants in Hong Kong. So it has been a quite interesting research journey, and also for me personally to get to know more about the city.
Yeah, let me add my experience as well. Capstone, as Susan mentioned earlier as well, and I think Dr. Vivian as well, like it's a good culmination of the studies that we do, and it kind of underscores everything that we've learned throughout our learning journey at SLGP. So in our case, my teammates and I, we researched into environmental policy communications in Hong Kong media, particularly using a case study of the municipal solid waste charging scheme that was quite well discussed a few years ago. So the foundations of our research really started because we saw there was a lot of discussions surrounding the municipal solid waste charging scheme, and a lot of these discussions were focused on policy design, infrastructure readiness, behavioral changes, and the very different other types of conversations. So we were quite curious to see like whether there was any way that the policy was narrated to the public, did that have any impacts on the ultimate policy outcome? So for our capstone, what we did was we did a content analysis of a sample of newspaper articles about the municipal solid waste charging scheme. So basically, we read a lot of articles across Chinese and English newspapers that discussed the municipal solid waste charging scheme to really try to identify narrative and linguistic patterns and strategies that has been used to communicate that to the public. So this way, we were then able to speak to various journalists in Hong Kong to really understand what was their thinking behind the way they spoke about these environmental policy communication policies in Hong Kong media. So through this, we were able to come up with a set of recommendations on how environmental policy can be better communicated in the future so that it meets our collective objective of environmental protection. So as mentioned earlier, working through the capstone was really fun. And as in the case of Ruoqi, my team and I, we were all not from a journalist background. We were all working in like corporate. So we were quite pleased at the outcomes and to kind of see how we could have complemented like better sustainability outcomes, both not just in Hong Kong, but also in the region and around the world as well.
Thank you. I think these are really great examples because, you know, when I talk about the briefing later as well, I've also mentioned the capstone, but already our audience is getting an understanding of the diversity of topics. And I love how, of course, everything is so timely because you can really pick a topic that, you know, you're really interested in, that you're seeing right now, and you want to understand it better. So that's why also you can really explore your interest further. So other than that, you know, other than, you know, the program being for people with diverse interests because of the complexity of sustainability issues, I was wondering if you can maybe share some advice to candidates who are trying to decide whether SLGP is right for them. Maybe you can share with us like, who you think could benefit most from this program. So maybe Ruoqi can start first.
Sure, thank you. That's a very interesting question. And to be honest, I think anyone who's interested in learning about sustainability and how you can apply that knowledge to your own field would find that helpful. But most importantly, I think people coming into a program are generally possessed a very open mind and are curious to learn, and not just from the course or the professors, but also from each other. That's something I found that's very helpful and also like very refreshing from like what we experience at the work every day. And yeah, so, and also I think it's time, give yourself some time when you're actually going on the journey. It is important to actually invest yourself in it. So from the program and the course selection, I think don't just think about finish it, but what actually your schedule works the best for you. So I think that's very important.
Thank you, Ruoqi. Yeah, I think the advice I have for anyone who's considering the master's is simple and short. So I think this program would really benefit for people who would have some sort of work experience and want to build greater competency around sustainability concepts and topics. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether you are working in a full-time sustainability role. Previously, my roles were not in full-time sustainability. Now I am working in a sustainability role. But the master was not like, it did complement, but it is not like the main reason that I was able to move into a sustainability full-time role. But it's a really good taster into the broad field of sustainability and its challenges, which I think, as I mentioned earlier as well, which is quite essential for any field of business that we work in, and to really drive sustainability progress, but at the same time, balancing other corporate needs as well.
I think, as I've actually mentioned many times in my sharing, I think this course is suitable for people who are willing to work with people from diverse background. I think candidates who apply for this role should be really, really curious about different topics and are willing to, of course, put in the work to understand the diverse topic covered in this master degree. There are a lot of assignments and group work around on very, very different topics. And of course, like nobody would like all of these topics, but you have to understand that these all put together will give you a really solid lens to look at the world. Like what I mentioned, working in a bank, I realized that there are actually a lot of information that's around sustainability. So first of all, each bank has a sustainability report, and the clients, if they're listed, they are very likely they also are bound up by some sustainability related regulations. There are more and more of these regulations. Every year there are different ESG related updates, and for my role as a PR, there can be reputational damage to the firm if there are any ESG violations. So I think there's like a lot of industry will, in some way or not, have some sustainability will have impact in your industry some way or not. And I think learning through these different knowledge really help you understand the value of sustainability applying in different fields. And for me, especially if you're working in a regulated industry, all these regulatory and reporting requirements, I think all of us understand and see the importance of keeping yourself updated with this kind of topics. And I do think that even, for example, like working in a US bank, although in the United States, there are ups and downs related to sustainability. This topic is not discussed all the time, but you see some progress going on, and you know that this topic will never go away. And for investment banking, it's related to deals, whether some deals are done, for example, related to like labor issue. And for example, for private banks, there are clients who are looking to make their portfolio greener and to contribute more to the ESG space. So there are many ways that I can tell you how sustainability can be related to finance. But the most important thing is you need to be willing to learn and to be curious enough to connect these dots together. And you'll be amazed that how all of these can be tied together, and it will be very useful in how you see the world and apply it to your work.
Yes, I cannot agree more with all of sharing, but yeah, definitely, exactly. Okay, right. I think that's all very clear in terms of who would benefit, especially from your perspective. Someone who has actually gone through the program and therefore now going on with your work, having all that knowledge and skills with you. I think we have already got some questions, and maybe there are some that are more specific, and maybe we can see if you want to take them. But let's start with a more general one, because this one I think you can definitely all speak to, because at either a period of your journey during the program or for the whole period, you've all been employed in a full-time position. So it's about workload, and would you like to share about how you manage the balance between the program and your full-time job?
Shall I go first, perhaps? So
sure.
I think it's definitely manageable if you plan it properly. Like I wouldn't want to lie and say like it can sometimes be intense, because you do have your day jobs. In Hong Kong, generally, a lot of the day jobs do tend to require certain overtime as well. And then you have classes, which is normally about 2 to 3 days a week, which goes on to like maybe 10 p.m. And then you also have assignments that you might need to work on weekends. So it definitely needs some sort of commitment, but I think if you plan earlier, it's definitely doable. And my advice would be, if you are having a full-time role, you should, I think, maybe Dr. Vivian may correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you can also join the full-time program, because I think full-time work and a full-time program is definitely not possible. So you definitely need to do it part-time, and it also helps. Like I was very lucky that my employer was super supportive of the program as well. So it just needs a little bit of time, like planning, and I think it should be okay. And I think the course is also designed for people who are working full-time as well, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yes, I agree, and I think Udara point a very important point is that you need to have a good alignment with your employers on like what are the potential schedules you have, and also how you can manage to deliver your work and also follow up with the courses at the same time. It is important about time management and also how you can manage the workload properly. Of course, it will take some like overnight cramming, and especially at the final times when you need to submit the work, you might need to sacrifice your weekends. But overall, I think it's manageable.
I'm a bit different from Ruoqi and Udara because I didn't tell my employer I was studying this program. So the whole part-time I did it privately. I don't know how to describe, but because I don't want it to maybe I was thinking too much, but I don't want it to impact how my colleagues perceive my performance at work. That's why I actually didn't tell my manager or my team that I was actually doing a part-time master. But still, I was able to make it. I graduated and I did okay at work. So I mean, this is totally manageable. I would say that you need to have very good planning. I'm a planning freak, so I do a lot of time management planning, and I plan ahead. For example, I think for every course at the beginning, at the first lesson, you already know what kind of coursework you have. And then throughout the course, you start thinking about what topic do you want to work on, or like who maybe you wanted to be in a group with. So with these kind of early planning, I think it's manageable. It will, of course, it will take some time on your weekends. For the capstone project, I think it's more that workload is a bit heavier, of course, depending on your project. For example, some of my classmates did a capstone project that need a lot of field work. They need to go out and talk to people or survey different things. Then, of course, it takes more time. But I think overall speaking, the work is quite manageable, and at the very least, you will know what kind of work or assignments you're getting at the very beginning of the course, or you can like check with the other classmates too. So I think in this way, as long as you plan early, probably the only difficult part is what Udara mentioned. After work, you need to rush to school because the classes probably start at 7 or 7-ish. I think that's probably the hardest part. But the other part, I think, if you have good planning, you can manage it pretty well.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I think that's good planning and time management is definitely, the key there. And, we would advise, you need to talk to your boss and, get the support, but, yeah. I think also with a full-time job and then applying as part-time, it is better that way, in that, especially with the capstone that we've talked about several times now, there is time involved, and you need to kind of have the time to kind of let the knowledge sink in and then spend the time on your project, talking to different stakeholders. So actually doing it part-time has that benefit as well, that you can spread it out over 2 years. So that makes it a little bit more manageable. And then I think, as Susan mentioned, right, the deadlines, about the course assignments right from the start. I know there are other master programs that kind of give you an essay, a question to 2 weeks, and then you have to submit it right away. And it's just stuff like that for every single course. But this is not like we have all our courses right at the beginning. We'll tell you the first lecture, like what are the assignments, and then when the deadline. So you have several months to plan for that. Okay, so let's move on to the next kind of more general question. Supply chain. Maybe let's look at Ilana's question about her working in sustainability field and then mainly focusing on supply chain topics. She's interested in learning more about sustainability in the finance sector. So she's wondering if the programs mostly related to regulatory work like ESG reporting, are there other areas involved? Maybe we can ask you guys to give us a few examples. We know you have already shared like all the other aspects that you learn, but maybe you can share a couple of examples of things that you found really interesting.
Do you mean in that, like in related to finance in this course? Or
I would say, why don't we take it so that it's to say how it's more than just ESG reporting, or something that you can get from like an online certificate program, like what more they can get from that.
I see. So I think there are before I enrolled in this program, my expectation was that I don't want to learn about just like regulatory framework and those standards, SASB, whatever, because I think those you can read it by yourself, and there are a lot of courses online. And if you're interested in sustainability, probably you've already taken one of these. But I think there are courses when I was studying this master degree, there are topics, for example, on sustainable investments or the economics related to sustainability. I think these are very related to finance, as in using the economics or finance lens to look at sustainability. Of course, there are topics that we also discuss about for example, the challenges of pushing these agendas in organizations. This program is also about sustainability leadership. So it's not only about the hard grinding knowledge of like reciting framework and things like that. It can be very, very dynamic. And in topics, for example, in courses I remember related to entrepreneurship, you will also see there are different classes or discussions around how to push these agendas or to bring these topics into your organization. I think these softer topics are actually more valuable than just a hard fact that for a framework you can always refer to it, right? You have a PDF, right? But I think for finance, the hard facts are all laid out, but how to push these in organization to make the finance people in your organization understand these causes and to start the discussion. I think these are more of the soft skills that's really required in pushing the agenda forward. I think this area, it's for me more interesting than just the framework and regulations. But of course, there are I chose topics related to, for example, like transparency, and I deliberately didn't choose things that are related to my work. So I tried not to pick finance, or also because I knew that my capstone project was about financial reporting, biodiversity reporting, right? So in other classes, I try to balance out, and I didn't choose really finance-focused topics. And I actually think choosing non-finance topics helped me broaden my horizon more than really just choosing finance and understanding more about finance. I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah.
No, yeah, totally. Thank you. I think that's also a good point to make, that the program is not, precisely about finance. There is those elements in there. So thank you, Susan, for jumping in there, because of your work being most relevant here, right? So there's the economics, there's the responsible investment. So those elements are there, but that is not what the program's only about, right? There are other programs that are very finance focused. But the beauty exactly of the program is about the diversity of the other topics. So I don't know if Udara or Ruoqi, you want to supplement, or we can move on to the next question.
No, I think maybe just to add to what Susan shared as well, is that there's a lot of different courses that you can select. Like there's several compulsory courses, but you also have a lot of elective courses, and they like range from various different topics. Like, for example, I remember doing the globalization class, which was not very close to like finance concepts or something, but it was really interesting to see how globalization and the relationships with the environment, so on. So you can really build up your study plan based on your interest. There's a lot of choice that's been offered as well.
So I think what Susan was covering has touched on most of the points, and just want to emphasize that it's more than just the knowledge itself for a graduate master level class. It's also about the softer skills that's also very important. And one of the courses that has been emphasizing on that part is the leadership course I took in the summer semester this year. And I found the in-class discussions regarding what does the leadership mean and how leadership can be applied in the field of sustainability is actually one of the very engaging moments we have throughout the process, because it's allowed us to feedback, and you also hear real life examples from your classmates. That kind of experiences offered by the program is very valuable.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we can slightly go into those couple of questions about people with engineering and economics background. Obviously, I know that's not your background, so don't worry about that. We can, and also Season's already mentioned, it's for people with any kind of interest, and I think others as well. But just in case, if you can think back to during your group work or during class discussion, were there any of your classmates that have an economics background or engineering background where you felt, they had something that's really interesting that contributed to class discussion or your thinking or, group work, etc.?
I do remember that one of the classes we were taking at the leadership class, we have two classmates actually from the construction industry. Which is because for me, I'm coming from a communication backgrounds, and also some of the classmates we know each other well are from the consulting. So the way of looking at things and even regarding approaching issues are quite different. So I think that's gave you very unique and complementary ways of looking at topics. So I found that's very interesting.
Thank you.
I think maybe I can also tackle the economics question, because I do come from a background from economics and finance. And I think to speak to the market efficiency and cost benefit maximization, I think having the sustainability knowledge really helped me, and it really complemented what I've learned in economics. As we all know, in economics, a big problem we have is we can't factor in the cost to the environment into the market systems. And a lot of things that I learned really helped me try to think of ways where we can actually internalize the environmental impact. So it's definitely very complementary, particularly in the case of economics. But as Ruoqi mentioned, regardless of which field you come from, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot to learn across.
I think it's very easy when you look at sustainability and you only look at the green part. But at the same time, for sustainability, it's so broad that I personally, when I choose the topics that I work on in different courses, I chose the human-related ones. For example, in the transparency course, we need to each choose a topic, and I choose occupational safety, for example. And occupational safety related to human. And there are a lot of, when I read the frameworks and regulations, there are a lot related to safety engineering. And for example, related to this unfortunate fire in Taipo is related to fire and safety engineering related to the supply chain. Actually, this fire reminds me of a lot of discussion I've had in this SLGP course. And especially the topic that I've done was occupational safety and safety in construction sites. So I went through all the framework on these topics. And I think engineering background would be very, very helpful if you have this background to study this course, because you really look at the design of a lot of different mechanisms. And for me, I'm from a communications background. Of course, the things I look at are softer. But with engineering, you really use this lens to look at these frameworks or requirements related to human and safety designs. I think this will be very, very interesting and relevant.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for all that sharing. I think that's really key to emphasize, all the different perspectives and the different background, how that comes together, and then everybody benefiting from that broader perspective as well. Okay, let me just check. Oh, okay. Software engineering background. Okay, we're going to get this question for all types of disciplines, right? Everybody coming from different background, and then they're interested in SLG, support students shifting from engineering style, analytical thinking. Okay, shifting style of thinking to governance and policy perspectives. Are there any particular courses case-based exercises or interdisciplinary training to help facilitate that transition? I feel like maybe Udara, that may be more for you. I don't know, is that a switch from the economics thinking to this social sciences?
Yes, like yeah, sometimes the way you're trained to think is a bit different. Like in economics, a lot of the training I've had is all about profit maximization, which sometimes could conflict with some of the thinking in social sciences. But that being said, I think that's a really exciting opportunity as well, because you can kind of bring two schools of thought together, and having that interaction is where you can actually make the greatest impact. Like, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but then like even at work, for instance, like sometimes there are sustainability challenges that always conflict with corporate challenges. Like so like how can you find that sweet spot to help drive the progress? And I think that's what is really needed for sustainability, to just make sure that we're driving that progress. So I think, yeah, sometimes you see the differences, but that's also the beauty of it, like to understand the differences and to see how you best contribute to the final goal.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's complementary, right? Once you have those different ways of thinking, then you kind of really have, all that all-roundedness.
Yeah, and you can also like challenge the thinking as well, because like from certain ways that you've been trained to think, the other schools of thought might not be the same. And it's like, why don't you think like that? So it really fosters good conversation.
Yeah, precisely. Thank you. Okay, right. I think I see if Ruoqi and Caesar anything to supplement there, but also maybe this could be an opportunity just for like final thoughts or just, any advice or reflections, and then we'll move on to the program briefing.
My 2 cents of this program is that I when I sign up, when I get accepted to this program, I tell myself I want to choose topics and subjects that are a bit different from what I do at work. I think this is a great approach to really learn something else. I know a lot of people probably want to study this program so that it can complement your work, but at the same time, I think actually learning something that's totally not in your field is actually more beneficial to your thinking and to provide you with more diverse lens on how you look at things. It's very helpful and very beneficial, and it will also bring you to, for example, group mates of different backgrounds because of the topics that you're interested in. So I highly encourage interested applicants or people who are going to apply for this program, be open-minded and be curious about topics that are completely not in your field. The teaching resources and all the course instructors, professors are very helpful and will surely help you navigate topics that you don't understand.
Thank you, Susan. So I echo a lot of what you just mentioned, and I think in this program gave you and well everybody an opportunity, including myself, to take a step away from what you have already been immersing in their everyday life, and allow the chance for you to recalibrate and to take into the consideration of sustainability in so many different areas. And so my only suggestion is same as Susan, is to be open-minded and to embrace this journey.
Thank you, Susan and Ruoqi. I think I also want to compliment what you mentioned is just for anyone who's considering this master's, make sure that you come committed, because don't expect life is going to be like super easy. You're just going to whisk past by. Be ready to put in the hard work, because that's really what makes that journey so interesting. And at the end of the day, you'll be graduating with a master's from Hong Kong U, and it's really the insights and the knowledge and the people you meet that you will gain at the end. So come committed, be ready to roll up your sleeves and have some fun.
Thank you so much for that. Exactly, right? We tend to get asked that question as well, either during interview or other times, like what kind of students are you looking for? Of course, yeah, the open-mindedness, and then thanks Dr. Winnie Law for the supplement, right? We really are training you to change the way of thinking, right? From linear to more circular, more systematic, and more comprehensive thinking, because that's what we need in order to meet all the very complex sustainability challenges. So thank you so much, Season, Ruoqi, and Udara, for your time and for your really insightful sharing. I think everybody's benefited a lot from your experience and your very candid sharing. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's switch to program briefing. Right, okay. So I think we've all heard quite a bit about the program and what it's about. So let's start with introducing the center, because you might be interested in, okay, where this program is housed. So it's actually housed under the Center for Civil Society and Governance, which is under the Faculty of Social Sciences at Hong Kong U. To help you understand a bit more about the work of the center, we actually do a lot of action research. So research projects, you can see on the left there, a few on rural sustainability. So we look at collaborative governance in order to achieve rural sustainability, but for the benefit of the greater society. And then some partnership for sustainability leadership. So that's about big corporates and SMEs, how they can actually work together for sustainability. There's also work on inclusive employment. So that's also other social sustainability issues that we work on as well as ethics and governance in AI research, which of course is a very cutting edge and current topic. Right, teaching, of course, you can see SLGP right away. We also contribute courses to another master program. There's also an academy where we offer shorter courses on specialized area. We, of course, do teaching for undergraduate students as well at Hong Kong U. We also have lots of international collaborations because of the diversity of our research. So we have different research networks that we either are the coordinator of or that we are part of in Asia, as well as global on various topics. So you're welcome to have a look at these on our website if you're interested. And so in case you're just signing in today to have a look and the program, you haven't actually had a chance to understand it more, you can actually start by looking at our leaflet, which can be downloaded on our website. So as soon as you go to our website, HAU SLGP, you will see near the top on the left, there's these buttons that take you to our pamphlets. So do check them out. Otherwise, of course, you can look at the website for more details. So this is, of course, something that all of us working in sustainability or have been keeping an eye on how things are going, that we know the field keeps adapting. Everything's moving very quickly. And of course, that means our master program is also continuously adapting. So we're always staying ahead of the latest industry development, as well as the needs through updating our curriculum and course content. So there are always new courses or adjustments, and of course, contents are always updated. We have a wonderful program team, so lots of different teachers, and you can look at the focus of our program. So there's a strong social science sustainability base there, which helps you with broader understanding of the development and discourse of sustainability with a very strong grounding in academic research. And then there's the organizational responsibility. So we emphasize that it's not just for people that are working in businesses and the private sector. It's any kind of organization. Any organization has their responsibilities. So we have experts that come and teach about transdisciplinary exploration and understanding of governance and social responsibilities for externalities. And the orange part, the third part, is professional and technical skills. Of course, with all that knowledge, shifting thinking, you need the skills to actually implement all this at your future work or current work as well. So with different practitioners as well. We have on our team that teach you about the application of concepts, frameworks, and tools by professionals for the attainment of social responsibility, environmental stewardship, and an inclusive economy. Bit of background in case you do not know, our program was actually established in 2003. So it used to be in a different name, corporate environmental governance, but since, as I said, how field is changing and things are shifting, we felt that actually it's more relevant to look at sustainability more broadly, not just environmental, and it's more fitting as well. We had been updating the content previously, but then the name change actually happened in 2021. And then we want to explain that actually our program differs from programs that are offered from the perspective of environmental management or business management. It's actually broader than that. It takes a governance perspective. It looks at system thinking, takes a system thinking approach. You can see lower down, and it's very interdisciplinary. That helps you and equip you to address all kinds of organizational challenges and help make decisions in whatever entity that you find yourself in. Okay, so you can see, our teachers and our team. So we have academic expertise in disciplines such as sustainability and governance, politics and public administration, as well as environmental economics and social entrepreneurship. And then we have industry experts and practitioners in areas such as corporate and nonprofit sectors, asset and risk management, sustainable or responsible investing, as well as digital practice and governance. Right, the modes of learning, right? The second question that we discussed, and we heard from the sharing of our alumni that we have, of course, in-person classes. There's a lot of class discussion. There's always opportunities for you to learn from each other, for you to have that, thought-provoking discussions in every class. And as you can see in the top right, sometimes we have guest speakers, as Ruoqi was saying earlier as well. So they would come and tell us, their work or the challenges that they're facing, as well as, how they innovate and find different solutions. So you can learn from them directly. There's also lots of other types of, out of classroom learning experience. So you can, see different types of field trip or site visits where, we offer the opportunity for students to have that more experiential learning experience. On the left there, you can see group presentations. There's a lot of opportunities for you to, develop those skills of developing your own arguments, making convincing argument or proposals of solutions. These all come in really handy when, you're working in a company and you are needing to convince different, colleagues in different functional roles or other teams of why we should be undertaking these sustainability initiatives. And that's, great practice for that. So here's our, program structure, and you can see the courses that are being offered. On the left, there are the compulsory courses. So you take all of these very fundamental courses. You have concepts of sustainability leadership, given the program name. And then you have governance and policy for sustainability transitions, and what exactly are the challenges there. In governance, we look at collaborative governance and also different kinds of policy tools as well in order to meet those transition issues, right? And then there's also market-based instruments and low-carbon economy transition. So that also takes a regional perspective, so that we all know that there is a lot happening in the whole Greater Bay, China region. And so what are the market-based instruments? That could be something that in different sectors or in your private businesses that you work in, that could be a role to be played. And of course, the principles of the management of corporate sustainability. That is your really fundamental starting point of all the key concepts. The elective courses on the right, you can see a really long list, right? Exactly as Udara was saying, as well as Season as well, that there is a lot of courses that you can choose from. You can pick depending on your interests or what you think would really complement your existing knowledge. Right, and then of course the capstone. So other than, you take the 4 compulsory courses and then you pick 4 elective courses on the right. And then on top of that, you have the capstone project, which is where you really take a topic and you dive deeper into that. And you use all the academic research skills, all the concepts and theories that you've learned in the courses and try and apply that in exploring a practical problem. And, as our alumni were sharing earlier, this really is a great opportunity for you to engage with either business or maybe a nonprofit partner or even different stakeholders that you reach out to during that research process, that you try to get to know the problem, you talk to them, get their perspectives to help you better understand the problem. Other than the topics that they were sharing with us earlier, you can have a look at our website. Under capstone projects, there are a list of different topics as well, and you can click into them and learn a bit more about these. Okay, so this is here to give you an idea of what the timetable could look like. Of course, it's very small and it's for sample purposes because the timetable looks different every year. But of course, workload was also one of our questions earlier. So this is to show you that, of course, this is all the courses listed, right? Seeing our long list of elective courses, of course, the timetable is packed. But let's say you are doing this part-time. So you would be doing roughly 2 to 3 courses per semester. You can, of course, make adjustments. Some of our students do that depending on their work schedule when they're busier, so they can take fewer courses in a semester where they feel like their work is busy and then more in another semester and do it that way. And sometimes you would notice there are courses that are taught intensively, like the blue and orange on the right-hand side, where it's the summer semester. We call it that, but you notice it's actually in May. So we don't tend to really have courses in the actual summer, but it's after semester 2 as a period, if you feel like that fits your schedule more, you can try and take those intensive courses. Our program has also been accredited by international bodies. The first one is the Institute of Sustainability and Environmental Professionals. So this is a global body. It recognizes certain programs, and where if you are, while you're a student, you already get this free student membership. And when you graduate, you actually get, can be a direct applicant for their graduate membership. And what it gives you is that global resources. They will talk about, they offer different kind of workshops and talks on sustainability issues globally, sometimes with more of a Europe focus because they are more UK based. And then they also have different networking opportunities. So they do online graduate or member networking events. So, when you want to get to know more people, broaden your network, you can actually join one of those activities. The second accreditation is the International Association for Sustainable Economy. That one is subject to renewal, so it will be confirmed whether or not we continue after the next academic year. With this, our graduates will be conferred ISB Advisor, which is their level 1 qualification. And then you'll be eligible, of course, for membership and then be part of their network. At the same time, you can also, after the program, you can have enough knowledge that you can apply for their next level examination as well. Right, scholarships. This is something that many people are interested in, of course, seeing whether there are any scholarships to support you. So our program has actually been selected for the Hong Kong Future Talent Scholarship Scheme for Advanced Studies. So this is a Hong Kong government scheme where it's only local students admitted to the program are eligible, and they can, apply for this scholarship. And then they'll be, awarded based on merits. There is also the Center for Civil Society and Governance Scholarship, and this happens at the end of the program, or as you're finishing the program. Then we look at, students who have attained outstanding academic performance during our program. Then they may be nominated for the CCSG scholarship, and they'll be awarded while as they complete the program. Okay, another kind of FAQ that we get is alumni, or what sectors can we find our alumni? So we'll give you a few examples. We'll start by transportation and logistics. We see a lot of alumni working in these companies, for example, and in the broader area of transportation and logistics. And of course, given Hong Kong, the real estate construction industry is rather big. We have all these really big companies as well, big corporates. So we find a lot of our alumni working in real estate and construction, holding really pivotal roles in companies like Swire Property, Hang Lung Property, Gammon Construction. As we said, it's not just private sector where you can find our alumni. There's a lot. There are a lot of them that work in non-profit. So, for example, Hong Kong Jockey Club or other charities as well. Banking is surely one that it's no surprise to you that we have a lot of alumni working in banks like BA and HSBC. And of course, financial services as well in firms like JP Morgan or Macquarie Group. So they're looking at things like risk management, sustainability strategies, and with a lot of demand for responsible financial practices. Of course, this is in high demand. Okay, in terms of functional roles as well, I think you already could get a glimpse before when I mentioned the different sectors, but here it is again in a different way that you find alumni working in, for example, operations manager, logistics and network manager or engineer in the rail, transport, freight industry. In terms of real estate, you find them in roles such as project manager, project sustainability consultant. And then with banking, of course, risk analyst, compliance manager, impact investing and green finance role are very key places. In retail, supply chain coordinator, it's of course an important aspect. And then for business consulting, you have consultant or project lead, or with FMB, there's also quality assurance management roles and operations director. So you're starting to see that there is some common roles across different sectors as well. So these are some of the common roles that you find in different kinds of sectors and companies. Compliance officer, corporate communication manager, or a research analyst, head of sustainability, etc. Okay, so for that, then we're wrapping up the briefing and, have general inquiries. I'll have a look at the chat and see, how many questions we can take now. And then general inquiries, you can direct them to a colleague, Ms. Jamie Yoon, with the email there. And then do have a look at our website. There is a lot of information there. If you want more, for example, more understanding about the different courses, you can click on the courses and there's actually a brief description there if you want to know what's covered in the various courses. or if you want to know, more examples of alumni, where do we find them? There's actually a whole page about alumni on our website, so you can have a look at their work and their testimonials as well. At the same time, want to give you a heads up about an upcoming event. We are going to hold a taster lecture in late January or early February. It will be a Monday evening, so it would be when we have our classes, you can actually come join, sit in the lecture as you would with our current students. And that would be, on the topic of policy for sustainability transition. And it's, as I said, in-person classes. So you'll be welcome to look out for all these details that would be shared later. I want to invite you to join, follow our LinkedIn page of the center. There'll be lots of updates, either relating to the program itself or different research that we are publishing, other kinds of events as well. As I said earlier, the center does a lot of work, has action projects in different areas. So other activities that we hold. So you're welcome to stay in touch, and you can join the events that fits your interests.